All right, let's see how it sounds. Awesome. Nice one. Good day, everyone. So, my name's Hells. We're here in Studio 33. I am with the lovely Jaden and Viv.
Hello.
Hi.
And so this is the next episode of The Long Conversation. We're doing a topic that is called Gender Beyond the Binary and the exploration thereof. And the topic today in this section is going to be...
Okay, yeah, wanted to explore how trauma meets like gender and identity, how those things relate to each other. And I guess most of us in society as it is have experienced some kind of trauma or working through some kind of trauma. And so of course it's going to play out in the questions and like exploring gender and exploring identity. So one thing that made me think of this question is often I see in the kind of anti-trans groups, or those stories like in Sex Matters and those kind of like groups, like one of the threads is like something like, you know, don't think trans is a real thing or being non-binary is a real thing. I think it's like confusion or like a trauma response, you know, that sort of story, which it definitely like triggers me to some extent. I'm like, how can you reduce to that? But I wanted to ask you both, like in your experience and, you know, personally and people you know, how do you see like trauma relating to like your identity, the way, you know, how you feel in yourself, how you express yourself as around gender? Does that make enough sense?
Yep.
Who wants to start?
You want to go first or shall I?
You vibe first.
Alright.
Still brewing in me. This is good.
Cool.
And like, if we jump in, we can do it organically. It's cool as well.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, for me personally, I can understand how easy it is for people to reduce somebody's experience and exploration of self-actualization down to trauma. Because it's very easy to minimalize, in a way, everything back to that. Yeah. However, if we look at the wider scope of humanity, removing the title of cis or transgender, every single human being has trauma. Everyone's got trauma. And, you know, if we look at, for example, trauma on domestic violence and how women in the household are affected by, and how much a percentage are actually subjected to domestic violence, we don't hear about that. We're not hearing about what was, you know, we're not caring about these people's trauma, but everyone's so interested in transgender and non-binary people's trauma. For me personally, as somebody who's non-binary and has had quite a lot of things to work through, challenges to overcome, I don't think that's necessarily affected my gender expression or awareness of who I am as a human being. But I do think, and I do believe through my own experience, that these different traumas or challenges or obstacles have given me a wider bandwidth to express and explore my human experience. You know, so trauma, I find a lot of people that have had no trauma or no challenges to work through are the ones that are complaining the most, that have higher expectations, are entitled, and, you know, basically there's, you know, you need a bit of trauma to give you character. Even you know, people need that resistance and that sort of exposure to, and so I don't know, like everyone's experience of life is different too. So yeah, perhaps growing up as a mixed race person in a predominantly white middle class area of the UK, already for me, looking in the mirror versus looking around me would have, it's not even really about gender, it's just about where do I fit into this space, full stop, regardless of gender, you know? So already my mind is already thinking completely differently to everyone around me. For example, that's just one intersection to think about. Anyway, I think that's quite enough for me for now. Did that answer the question?
Massive,
cool. Really, and touched on it. You know, there's more. And
there is. There is.
I really feel. I really care about this topic. I really care about women. I really care about trans women. I really care about cis women. And everyone has had trauma in some way, shape or form. And again with me, which I think is similar to you, Hells, is how we want a conclusion to the why all the time, you know. And for me personally, am I hurting anyone? Am I well? Am I safe? Is everybody else safe? If the answer to those is yes, then you can look further, you can look back, but is that enough? You know, is that enough for that to be answered? And I understand with the trans community and the children and the hormones, I understand this question, because children need space to ask the question why. But again, we fall into the binary way of making kids decide, are you trans or not? It's like, give them space, ask who you are, who am I, and just because I'm trans doesn't mean I know who I am. Like, I know who I am, of course, but I'm always growing, I'm always changing, and I'm always asking every day, who am I? And my trauma plays into every single aspect of my life, every single day, and it runs me. Of course it runs me. I'm a human being with memory. That's that stick and triggers. But I'm safe, I'm well, and I'm not hurting anyone. And I really love picking apart the trans experience. I love it so much, and I don't think I'll ever know fully why. And I love that because it keeps me alive and asking who I am every day. And I don't think we'll ever really know why, like many of the questions, until we die and beyond. But the trauma aspect of it is important. I'm definitely not minimising it, but also, like Hel said, you can minimise by just saying, oh, is it trauma? Like, it's so much more than that, and so beautiful. Like, human beings are so beautiful. Not everything has to be terrorised and terror and fear and scared of everything beautiful, you know, that we ruin it before it even shows us its gifts it's got to show us. So I think around the trauma, it's like, yes, and, you know, I act like this not because I'm trans, but because, I've got a little young pattern in me playing, which we was actually talking about before. Our younger selves come in and they play, and I can be unconscious of that, a younger pattern, and it hurts to learn about it, but it's continuous. And I'm always working with my childhood trauma. I've got childhood trauma, but me particularly, from my personal experience, I was a boy. And I'm really using this language so lightly because we're more than physical. In my language when I was a kid, I was a boy before my trauma. It was a feeling and a knowing and a remembering that didn't match the physical. And I remember actually something coming up with a close friend of and they said, oh yeah, I haven't asked about your trauma, your transition must have been traumatic. I said, and I couldn't say because I was just processing this sentence, but at the time I would say, you're absolutely wrong, my transition was blissful. It was divine and gorgeous and expansive and light, you know. My transition was not traumatic. Of course it had its traumas, like the triggers and stuff. But there's just like, I feel like there's a negative spin on transgender being really dark, you know. Of course it's really dark. It hurts like hell, and I have to disassociate with my body to feel good sometimes. And that's a trauma response. I know that language, but if I'm to remain happy, I have to consciously choose to disassociate from my body. and I'm choosing it. Otherwise, I'll be a wreck most of the time. I'm going to leave that there because I feel like it was juicy.
Yeah, nice.
Anything else?
Good food for thought. Yeah, and that's just touching on what you were saying there, Jaden, as well. Like, there's something about self-actualizing that, first of all, I think people think it's just like a quick, oh yeah, XYZ ABC. The same as any gender-affirming surgery, whether it be breast enlargement, breast reduction, top surgery, ears being pinned back, hair follicles being put in, electrolysis, whatever it is, it's all okay. And something I noticed was like there's so much gatekeeping for trans and non-binary gender-affirming care versus heteronormative affirming care. Like even your top surgery, so long ago, can't even remember the name.
What
was that again? Don't even remember what that is. It's like, but that's what I mean. And like for me personally, regardless of what am I identified as, because I'm a fucking human being. That's what I identify as. I'm a human. So, but I'm a human that's way more comfortable in my body now. I'm a human that loves to feel the touch of someone's hand on my chest when we're sleeping.
Second that.
Do you know what I mean? And before I was like, uncomfortable. So it's because I love myself that I'm like, cool, let's like clean up and make yourself feel how you look on the inside, on the outside. And I love my body. I'm just like, you know what? Anyway, I'll leave it there too before it gets too juicy. But that's what's up. You know, it's not a... And same here, I remember after I had my top surgery, afterwards, I literally just started crying because I was like, I feel so light. I can do this without the whole world moving.
Absolutely. I second it. And it's like, because I love myself, and top surgery was just like, oh my God, I remember Viv asking me, do you like regret anything? I was like, absolutely zero regret, you know.
Exactly.
I was just like, the doctor came in, the surgeon, and I was laying in the bed, you know, out of it, and he went, I've got some bad news. I went, can't be that bad, they're gone. And normally we have like small scars, and he said mine goes from under my armpit all across, then up, then all the way across again.
Oh wow.
And it's humongous, you know, it's huge. And I was like, I don't care. I feel grand.
Absolutely.
And free, and I can run and I can move. And you know what? My back was like this, and my back was so screwed up from binding and wearing those awful... I couldn't even lie next to Viv without... I'm like, oh no, don't put your head there. Can you just like move over there? And it's just like, oh my God. I just want to chill out in bed and watch a movie.
Absolutely.
With my other half, you know. It's just like, and it feels good. It's beautiful, and I love myself, and I was privileged to be able to do it. And if I didn't have my money at that time, I wouldn't have been able to.
I just want to say, like, that's the thing I always notice with you and getting to know you, Haz. It's just this like constant like exploration of like who you are, but also what conditions help me thrive. Like, what's gonna enable me to like express myself, be my best in the world, be in my energy, and all of those things. And I think that's why, and the uniqueness of every person, you know, and that's what was the real trigger with me. And like in this conversation where someone was suggesting like their guess was that trans is a trauma response, like as though this always like, you know, and you said even if you know why, so what, it's true, but just to reduce it to that. And that's what just the complexity, the joy in it. And I just want to say with Jaden, seeing that as like, you know, top surgery happened, you recovered, and then within like a couple of days you were like, I'm going to go back to acting, I'm going to write a solo show. Like all this energy got freed up that was like in this like having to like conceal things and like change how you look and be seen, and now it's like free. And I just had this thought last night. I was like, you know, with the pronouns, like some people don't like using pronouns, some people don't like the terms trans and cis and all that, but it's like, do you want to meet this person as they are in their best conditions? Like that's the end to me. Is like I want to see people thrive. Like I want people I care about to be well. So like
Well, I
That's
always
the end of it.
absolutely. Like I always think people always ask about my dogs. Oh, is it a girl or is it a boy? I'm like, okay, cool. That, and I had a transgender chicken. So Galileo,
Of course.
yeah, and Galileo was my absolute favourite chicken, the coolest one. But it was, you know, they were Galileo.
Oh my.
But Galileo, you know, had that masculine energy.
Yeah.
But Galileo was AFAB, assigned female at birth.
Yes.
But assigned nothing at birth, actually, because I didn't know.
Galileo.
And Galileo would come sit on everyone's shoulder, super chilled. And then when the chicken massacre happened last year...
R.I.P.
Oh, R.I.P. Galileo laid their first egg.
Oh my god.
Whilst they had like a big hole in their neck. It was so dark and light at the same time. It was like death
That
and
chicken's
rebirth.
on journey.
That chicken, what a guan. Anyway, so we could always put it down to, and I see like queer animal behaviour
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
As well. I feel so lucky. I have to say that out here there's the space to explore without
Oh my
too
God.
much. You know, actually, most people out here are so supportive.
Yeah. So important.
We're quite lucky. I think probably your community as well is supportive. People around you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's like a picking people around that are supportive.
That's
You
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
both. There's
That's
definitely
true.
both, like where we live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say a last little something like, I really think the England way of taking away all the NHS services for the trans kids is a diabolical path, because we haven't, like, the NHS hasn't got the right language to explore trans and non-binary life, and we need better language. We need people that are invested in caring about who these kids are, not because they're trans, but because they're people and human beings, and giving them space to ask why and who and what, regardless of how much money or space or services they need the space. And trauma absolutely comes into that, and we need better language. We need more holistic services for the young particularly, and the older. But yeah, that's what I want to say, systemically anyway.
Yeah, I'll just add to that with, similarly for me, it's that thing of like, it's so dependent on your personal connections at the moment, and like your maybe what teachings you've come across or whatever, whether you can have those conditions to go like, who am I? Like, why do I do that thing? Like, have I got some unconscious thing playing out? Like all that sort of self-inquiry. Like sometimes you just come across it, right? Because of like, you're interested in like a spiritual path, or you get into psychology or whatever it is. But also I see that like a lot of times trans people or people exploring gender identity like have to ask those questions, you know, and they're trying to, that's one way they're asking the question, who am I? And having support for that, you know. Some of us you can sort of find it in yourself to some extent, but also especially as a kid, like, does someone else have that curiosity, you know, like is someone else around that could like help you explore? That could be peers, it could be parents, it could be a specialist or something, but not like a therapist to try and fix you, equally not the other end of a spectrum, like just necessarily go down gender affirming care, but it's like letting people explore who am I, and we all need that.
Absolutely. And this is why when I hear people that have obviously got no clue about what they're regurgitating, talking about, oh, they're pushing the trans agenda in schools. I'm like, what? You mean they're incorporating a bit more vocabulary so that everyone can find a space to exist? Why are you so threatened? Do you know what I mean? I feel like sorry, let me just calm down. Oh, it's just so annoying, like this whole thing that people also think that like schools are just like sending people in for like a sex change, which doesn't even make sense.
And it's such a scarcity mindset of like, oh, if we exist then you can't. Like, no, what?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
oh, women's rights, trans rights, people rights, man. Like, chill out. We can support each other. Like, there's such a scarcity mindset.
It's true. It is
know,
true.
Like, you could be allies so much. Like that's the sad thing. Just going like, people that are trying to explore themselves and be free and thrive, like we could all support each other, you know, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And of course there's like difficult specific situations that need to work out, but like in general it doesn't have to be trans or women, like especially. It's crazy.
Yeah, but that's part of it. That's part of the whole segregatory plan of those who are at the top of the pyramid. It works in the system's favour to keep all these little intersectional groups separated and arguing, instead of being like the reality is there's space for everyone. There's space for everyone. There's enough room for people to exist, and there's also enough brain space in people to learn a few more words and develop. Like I always think, and I love it as well. I like seeing all these new subcategories of how to love or romance. How are you? You know, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's good. I'm like, cool. I want to update because I can recognise that thing. I can see that in someone. Oh yeah, that person maybe fits this thing, and it's good to be able to describe ourselves down to the nth degree. Yes. And you were talking about even having the time. Well, in the hierarchy of needs, self-actualization is at the top. You need all of everything else to be activated and stable to be able to even truly self-actualize. So no wonder most people can't comprehend any other experience than the one that they've been provided with. You know? Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Do we think that's good for now?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's lovely.
I think so.
There is. We'll do some more a little later.
There'll be another one.
There will. Thank you guys.
Thank you for giving us your time.
One love, one love. Thanks for anyone tuning in.